headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
He's comedian and commentator Nick Dixon. Good evening, Nick.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Well, I'm all right. My view on this joke, I'm going to explain it to the listeners just in case some people haven't heard it. And you may find it offensive, but I think for the purposes of information, you're going to need this. Basically, during his stand-up show, Jimmy Carr essentially said everybody talks about the tragedy of the 6 million Jews that were killed by Adolf Hitler's Nazi war machines. They never talk about the hundreds of thousands of gypsy travellers who were also exterminated by the Nazis. No one ever wants to talk about the positives. That was the joke. Now, you might find that, not you, Nick, personally, I'm talking to everyone, you might find that terribly unfunny, you might find that vile, you might find that offensive. But I, personally, defend Jimmy Carr's right to make that joke. It's a question of free speech, I'm afraid, whether or not you like it. Nick, where do you stand?
Yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. I absolutely defend it, even though mainstream comedians probably wouldn't defend me. I have some quite good evidence that they would pile on me if it was happening. But we have to have principles, don't we? So I would totally defend it. It's obviously a joke. If you're a traveller, you may well not like the joke and you might be a bit sick of being picked on. That's why we've got to do jokes about everyone. But this thing where people have gone mad over it online, politicians especially, and pretending it's not a joke somehow, is absolutely insane. I mean, Nadia Whittam started this, it seems, and then Zara Sultana weighed in and said Jimmy Carr's joke is outrageous, blah, blah. She put it in inverted commas, as if that suddenly makes it not a joke. I mean, he's a professional comedian on a comedy show in front of a laughing audience. It is a joke. She said mocking racist genocide has no place in comedy. I mean, I think personally we should mock racist genocide. I'm against genocides. I think they should be satirised. But politicians have gone absolutely mad. Nadine Dorries, I know some talk fans might like her because she has a pop at the BBC, which is great fun, but she weighed in and called them shocking comments from Jimmy Carr, as if these are comments when it's actually a joke. And she said, we're going to tackle this kind of thing in the media bill. How sinister is that?
Yeah, I mean, how many people actually think that Jimmy Carr believes it was a real positive that hundreds of thousands of innocent human beings were slaughtered by the Nazis? He doesn't believe that. I think he's trying to highlight the horror of genocide and that the fact that, you know, evil is so often just banal, and the Nazi evil was banal. Now, my point is, Nick, is, you know, I think that you and all your colleagues in comedy and stand-up should be allowed to make a joke about anything in the world that you want. And then your audiences, people generally, can judge you. And if they want to cancel you, fine, do it personally. Just say, I'm never watching Nick Dixon again. I'm never going to listen to him on the radio or watch him on the telly. I hate him. By all means, cancel him. Don't tell me to do it. Don't tell everyone else to do it. Don't say Nick Dixon doesn't deserve to have a job. Sack him, fire him, cancel him, ruin his life. That's what they're trying to do to Jimmy Carr, and I just think that's wrong.
That is wrong, and the point is you can't pick and choose. Like, I didn't particularly love this joke. It's not a joke I would do. I thought it was a bit route one. I didn't love it, but he also did an anti-vax joke recently that I hated. He was basically bullying anti-vax people. It's a minority that's easy to pick on at the moment. He knew it would get a laugh because that's what jokes are. When you're in front of an audience, you gauge what's going to get a laugh, and it's quite a difficult thing to do, but he knew that having a go at people who question the vaccine would get a big laugh. I hated that joke. It doesn't mean I get to cancel him and all his other jokes. There'll always be some joke you don't like, but if we go down that path, we'll end up with no comedy, which I think is what these politicians want. I mean, did you see this one, Kevin? Julie McKenzie, an SNP councillor, said Jimmy Carr and his Netflix hate speech and his applauding audience should be prosecuted. Imagine that a few years ago. Imagine if you heard that in the 90s or something, that we should be prosecuted for laughing at a joke.
I'm afraid that you're right, Nick, that if you leave this to the Twitter lynch mob, you know, these people who sit in high moral judgment of everything anybody does or says, if you leave it to them, everybody, you know, will not only be cancelled, they will be prosecuted. They're the most illiberal, culturally fascistic people you can possibly imagine. But what I think is interesting is that, you know, Jimmy Carr made this joke about 2 years ago. It is now part of his Netflix special called His Dark Material. It does what it says on its tin. This is very dark material. So he made that joke 2 years ago, and he's now saying, well, the joke that could cancel my career is out there. And he told his audience, you know, somebody shouted, oh, you're making jokes about the Holocaust now. He said, yeah, we are. We're in the last chance saloon, and fairly soon now I won't be able to make this joke. And my real question to you, Nick, and to everyone else is, do you want to live in a country where Jimmy Carr or any other comedian is allowed to make that joke, or do you want to live in a country where making that joke is banned by law? Because I know which one I prefer.
Yeah, and we already saw a while ago Count Dankula getting prosecuted for that joke. So there is a precedent for prosecuting people. I mean, it would be unbelievable if Jimmy Carr got prosecuted. I don't know, that would be incredible. It would be bizarre. But yes, that is the question. What world do we want to live in? And why is it around now? Like you say, this joke's been around for a while. It's like this Joe Rogan thing recently. He made these comments ages ago. Now someone wants to have a go at him, so they emerge. Why are all the politicians suddenly leaping on this? I think it might be about passing some sort of bill, maybe this media bill. Why are they suddenly leaping on it now? I also thought there was a certain irony in our culture secretary, Nadine Dorris, calling these shocking comments as if she doesn't know what comedy is, when comedy is one of our greatest cultural exports. So that's another thing. Comedy is what we do. It's a great thing that Britain does, and now we're all pretending we don't know what it is.
Well, Nick, you know, Nadine Dorris is always good for a laugh. Give her that. But for you people in your profession, I mean, to be fair to Jimmy Carr, he's adopted a very interesting position. He's sort of saying, I know you're going to cancel me, but I'm going down fighting. And in that respect, it may cancel his cancellation. Do you see what I mean? That the cancel culturists will not want to be seen for doing what it is that they do, because it will make them look petty and nasty.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's taken this kind of defiant stance because he's, of course, obviously quite a mainstream, famous comedian. So it's interesting he's taken that stance. I don't know if he actually will be cancelled. This is the question. Is he too big to cancel? We had this with Dave Chappelle recently. It will affect, of course, all the unfortunate club comedians like me and all my mates who do the clubs and aren't as famous as Jimmy Carr, and we'll all suffer from the sort of trickle-down cancellation effect, even if Jimmy Carr does get away with it.
But it is. I mean, Jimmy's not the first sort of major comedian, and indeed any comedian, to make this point, that there's a chill wind blowing through the entertainment industry, and it really affects comedians. You know, the kind of joke that is now acceptable. I mean, we well know that the BBC has very strict guidelines about what you can make quips about and what you may not. All broadcasters are going to be very, very careful about that. And this is worrying, isn't it? It's a self-censorship that in itself will have a very detrimental effect on freedom of speech.
Yeah, and we already have Ofcom, like you say. You have to be very careful what you say. And now we have all these people getting cancelled. You don't want to get attacked by an online mob. It's happened to me. It's very unpleasant.
Me too, several times.
I can imagine. It's not much fun, is it? I mean,
no, it isn't.
It's not great. And maybe someone like Jimmy Carr can take it a bit because he's padded by all that money. But it's a horrible thing. It does have a chilling effect, not only on comedy, but on the whole culture. I mean, I'm still stunned by that SNP person saying they should be prosecuted. That's unimaginable at any other time when I was growing up. If you just told me when I was growing up that's going to happen in this country, I would say, have we been taken over by a fascist dictatorship? Are we in some kind of dystopia? It's almost unbelievable, but that's where it's happened slowly. It's crept up on us, and that's where we are now.
And at that last point, really, I do think that the flames of this syndrome have been fanned by social media, because once the the Twitter lynch mob, get hold of something like this, they're unstoppable, aren't they? You've been on the wrong end of them. I've been on the wrong end of them several times. I mean, you say it's not nice, but I mean, I just sort of, it's water off a duck's back to me. But I just think, well, as long as they spell my name right, I'll get better known.
After the first one, you get more used to it.
Yeah. You get, but they do make this syndrome worse, don't they?
Yeah, I think Twitter's been a huge problem for this. I mean, if we just turned off Twitter, I mean, most people in the country, let's be honest, they probably aren't talking about this joke. We think they are because we're on Twitter and we're in the media or whatever. But actually, they're not really talking about it. Most people don't care. Most people are sensible. They know what a joke is. They either like Jimmy Carr or they don't. They'll continue to like him or not like him. But these mad things happen on Twitter, and they're given way too much weight culturally. And politicians are on there. They think Twitter's important. Actually, it's not that important. The best thing would be if we could just bury it in the desert at this point and never get Twitter out again.
Well, I've got a last random point to make to you. You've got exactly the same name as my nephew.
Really?
Yeah, Nick Dixon.
That's amazing.
Just thought I'd tell you that.
Is he all right? Let's get in touch. Is he a good guy?
Yeah, he is a good guy. I'll put you in touch.
Thanks, mate.
Everybody with the same name should stay in touch. Listen, Nick, excellent to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Nick Dixon, comedian and commentator there.
Good talk. Hot talk.
Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.